Hi, Grace. Thanks for sharing that video with us. So my first question is, why did you choose to do a video instead of kind of your classic threefold poster board?
It actually wasn't a video, it was a slides, but I had to send
Yeah.
it in as a video. Um, I decided to do it in slides because I use this one app, Canva, and it has a lot of opportunities in it. Like you can add lots of different versions. You can choose your own background really fast without like having to draw it or paint it like you would on a Chromebook and not on a Chromebook, sorry, on a trifold. And it sort of helps a lot where you can just my process was I put all the information on a Google Doc and then copy and pasted it onto Canva, and that was just way faster than writing it all out on a triboard, and it looked neater and tidier. So, uh, yes.
I thought the slides were great. And I think with COVID-19, we definitely have to adapt for the virtual format. So creating a slideshow instead was definitely a great idea. In your presentation, you wrote that in 1903, the Committee of Ladies was appointed for the Saanich Fair. Do you want to tell me why that event was especially significant and what the role of the Committee of Ladies was?
Yes, that was really important because back then it was in, sorry, I just need to review when it started. It started in 1868. So going to 1903, even in 1903, it was a really big deal for, well, I'm guessing it was a really big deal for girls to be appointed to important jobs, and there was a whole committee based on them. So I think that was pretty important. Their names were, to start, there were three women in total, and their names were Mrs. J.T. Harrison, Miss M.H. Mertondale, and Miss Gertrude Thompson. And those ladies, I believe it was the first record of the Committee of Ladies, and it was formally appointed, which means it wasn't just like home wives, you're in charge of bringing stuff to the fair or something like that. It was actually
Mhm.
like formally appointed, which means it was a real job, which I think was a pretty big deal for 1903. 19,
Mhm.
1903.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I think over time, getting that more diverse group of people organizing the fair would definitely benefit it. So yeah, I'm glad that you included that in the project. You mentioned that the purpose of the Saanich Fair was to share agricultural information and kind of showcase what the farmers did over the year. How do you think that the fair changed the agricultural industry in Saanich?
I think it was a really important event for the Agricultural Society and the community of Saanich, because it wasn't just the community of Saanich. All people from farther away even came just to see the Saanich Fair, and it sort of brought the community together. And they could show, like I said in the slide, they could show off their crops, crafts, livestock, and they could even brag a little. It was sort of like a friendly competition event, and then after a bit they added midway, and they got entertainment, and it's just sort of about bringing the community together for the fair.
Hmm. And then you also talked about how, although the original fair didn't have rides and more donations, the more modern fair does include lots of that. How do you think that the fair benefits the Saanich community or the greater community differently than it benefited the community in the past?
Um, well, yeah, I think first they enlarged it so there were more opportunities, and we still kept things, the not we sorry but the Saanich Fair, Saanich, I live in Saanich, they kept a lot of the same things that they had back then. They just added more modern things to it, like the midway, and I think that brought more people in, which is really important because the more the merrier. So it helped Saanich for more people to be attracted, and more people could enjoy the Saanich Fair.
Hmm. Definitely. And what's your favorite part of the fair?
Probably the midway. I love going on rides with my friends. It's really fun, but I also love the livestock because I love animals.
I definitely would gravitate to the animals too. And I was reading in your presentation that the entry fee for competitions at the fair is still only 50 cents. Why do you think they didn't change the entry fee? And also, what are some of the competitions that you can enter?
Um, that's a really good question. I actually read Clara Knight, the president of the Saanich Fair, actually said that was in the article I was reading on Victoria, I think it was Victoria News, that she said that they kept it because it was a bit of a nod to their past agricultural history after adding so much stuff. They just kind of kept it as a nod. And so basically anyone could join, and some of the things you could enter were like uh, you could enter crafts, you could enter for like best pig or stuff like that, or you could enter food like best pie, a lot of like baking or livestock, crafts, even just a bunch of stuff like that.
Hmm. That sounds really cool. Have you ever entered in any competitions or your family?
No, I've never gone in any competitions, but maybe I would in the future. And
Hmm.
I've looked at a lot of the competitions. And I've actually seen, I believe there are some competitions where kids can enter. Like I think I once saw a baking competition for younger people. So yeah, maybe in the future I would join one. But no, I don't know of any of me or my family ever actually joining one.
Hmm. So you had lots of information, kind of varying from way far in the past all the way to the present. What was your most valuable resource for your research?
Uh,
I think you're on mute still.
Sorry, I just had
There
to
you go.
cough and then I couldn't
Yeah,
unmute.
no
Um,
problem.
so, sorry, can you repeat your question one more time, please?
What was your most valuable resource for your project and why?
My most valuable resource was a book I got. The book was actually written a long time ago. It was really old, but it had a lot of important dates and information. It was called History of the Saanich Fair. I believe it was made by the North and South Agricultural Society.
I think having an old book for sure is a little bit more reliable than finding things on the internet. Um, what was one piece of information that you thought was the most interesting throughout your research?
Uh, there was a lot of interesting information, but one thing that sort of stuck out to me was just how long it's been going around for, because
We lost you, Grace. I think your Wi-Fi might have cut out.
Yes, I think she's frozen.
didn't
Yeah.
understand why. And it was
Oh,
actually
she's
Oh,
back.
she's back.
it's existed longer than 100 years. It's about 153 years. So I was really interested that it actually had been going for that long.
Hmm. I'm surprised too. I haven't heard of the fair before reading your project. But to see how it's evolved since the pictures you have from like the first few fairs, and considering that it only started out with 10 farmers and how big it is now, I think is really an accomplishment of the Saanich community and the people who put together the fair.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to add?
I actually have a personal connection. My
Sure.
mom found a picture of when I had just come home from the Saanich Fair. I was 2.5 years old. This is the photo.
Oh, that's so cute. I like your balloon hat.
Thank you. It was the first time I ever tried a snow cone, so I thought that was a cool photo that I could find. And yeah, I think that's it. There's a lot of cool facts, but you'd have to see the slide. You can't tell them all. So thank you.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for presenting today, and I learned so much for your project. So thank you for sharing that. And I'll hand it back off to Rachel. Great job, Grace.